Hmm.
Madam Mayor, it is 9:04 and we are live.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone, to the pre-agenda meeting of December 8th. Yes, December 8th.
December 8th.
Let's have a roll call.
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here?
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy is on his way. Commissioner Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Kim Stokes is absent. Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Okay, great. Good morning.
I have a question.
Um,
Is this live on YouTube?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing I was thinking of, and I apologize, I've got a bad head cold. I sound like Croaky the Frog. I was thinking about this, the January 2nd meeting. Is there any consensus? Because it's at right after the holidays, it's the day after the New Year's Eve. Any any thoughts about maybe not having a meeting on January 2nd?
I was shocked that we were actually having one because it's the day after a holiday, which our meeting rules say we don't have. So I was confused as well.
Okay, Ronaldo?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so there's three of us, and we have consensus of a quorum and a majority, so I think January 2nd is off the charts. Great, great. So what else is going on?
I have a couple things.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just saw Carmen's hand go up.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
was trying to hurry up and get on mute to catch into that discussion on the January 2nd meeting.
yeah,
I appreciate that. If you can also give me the opportunity to make sure that I connect with staff to make sure we don't have any critical issue that needs to be approved prior to that, I will. And if there is, we may be able to, if we find that there's a critical issue
mhm,
that's time sensitive, maybe we can jump it on to the December 19th meeting.
okay.
I believe we're posting today for the 19th meeting, correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam City Manager, and my intention today and going forward is I will post the agenda on the date it is supposed to be posted, and if other items are not ready, I will just do a revision. I don't want to get it out late.
Okay, that
Okay,
makes that.
and that's in line to what I'm mentioning. If there's something that pops up that needs to be on that 19th agenda, even after posting, we'll put that in there in lieu of not having the January 2nd.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Davis?
And I did want to say, as we are talking about agendas for the December 19th meeting, we will have the circuit
Oh, good.
discussion, presentation and circuit on that date. So I'm working on completing a staff report. So hopefully that can be out today on time. If not, it'll be out on Monday.
All right, great, great,
Okay, but
great,
I
great.
just
I'm
want to
glad.
give you that notification that the circuit presentation and discussion will be on the 19th.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that we're doing that. I'd like to get going with that one way or the other. We should talk
Yes,
about it.
Joan and I met this week and we have all our materials together. And so we're prepared to present that.
Great, thank you very much. Tomorrow I know is a planting. Is it at the middle school or high? Ronaldo, do you know about planting tomorrow? A cleanup at one of the
Yeah,
schools?
yeah, it's at Lake Worth Middle.
Okay.
And the planting is in that area around their like marquee sign thing in front.
Mhm. Okay, great. 9 o'clock?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, great, great, great. Okay, so let's see what else is going on that I can think about. The parade's
Also,
tomorrow. Yeah.
parade tomorrow, yes. Yes, the parade's tomorrow. We do have a float. It is my understanding that the float will be decorated. I was looking for my note that I got from Lauren Bennett. So our float will be decorated and it should, and if you have any additional decorations that you want to bring, of course, it's welcome, but we'll have some decorations this time. So we're
That's
excited.
we don't have to steal them from other floats. That was so sad last year.
Oh,
Um,
yes. So they're taking care of us this year. I see Commissioner Hannah.
are you going to be on the float, Carmen? Are you going to join us again?
Yes, and also Mr. Perry, I believe,
I
correct?
was hoping. Great. Very good. Very good. Sarah?
Good morning, everyone. So I just have a couple things. I had sent over a resolution for Medicare for All and asked Carmen and Melissa to put it on a January meeting, and I just wanted to make sure we had consensus for that. I also would like to see Director Waters do an update to the commission in regards to all of the projects we've have given the green light to, like the one on 10th and 8th Street. I haven't seen any progress when I drive by the site. There's another one on 10th Avenue that we approved a bunch of I think it was 14 apartments. That was going to be on the north side of 10th Avenue, 10th Avenue
That
North.
one went away, but we'll see.
But I think that as a commission, since we approve them, we should have an
Mhm.
update on these projects, at least quarterly, just to say, hey, you approved A, B, and C. Send us a spreadsheet, something. I'd like an update from the city management and the CRA in regards to the L&M RFP on the next one of the next meetings. And I also requested, I'm putting in a request for the Lake Worth Jaguars to be recognized for the championship, the district championship that they won, and that will be at the end of January as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, and it was mentioned the other night about the $50,000 we gave to legal aid. And if we could have just a status on that, that would be great. Whether it's next meeting or the end of January.
Will do.
What?
I said, will do.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that the one on 10th Avenue North had sort of just isn't getting off the ground, but I don't know. The there's some interest from someone. We had a meeting the other day about a project downtown that would include a museum and residential. So we're sort of looking at that as a possibility in terms of the RFP change, maybe looking at the RFP in a different way. But we'll get more on that. Staff is working on looking at that, and the man is looking at his, could it make money? Would it be financially viable to do it there? But it's an amazing museum of ceramics world class collection. He's been collecting for years and years. What do you think? I mean, it would be nice to have some sort of cultural destination downtown. So we'll have to see what happens with that, with the RFP. I don't really have anything to offer right now. I don't have anything to offer right now. I'm just not feeling good. Ronaldo, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. Last meeting we ended at 11, so we weren't able to read. There's quite a few comments online, so when we revisit that issue, I just wanted to suggest maybe putting a footnote in those comments so that we can read them if we get the opportunity.
What do you mean? When?
If we revisit that issue, I think it was not necessarily tabled, but discussed that we're gonna come back to it with more information.
Yeah, I think that's going to be probably the end. Mr. Trisivi, is that going to be the end of January?
Yes, that's what my understanding was, that this was going to come back sometime in the end of January.
Okay, and hi Chris. Let the record reflect that Mr. McBoy is here. I was speaking with Donna Kerner, who does a lot of work, international work, and she is asked, she said that she works with people that have a very much more defined protocol than we do. So maybe we can look at that as part of the process. Other than that, I'm totally drawing a blank. It's ridiculous.
I do have, I mean, I have a couple of simple things.
Sure.
Yesterday I met with some neighbors at South Lakeside Park, and there's some things I'll discuss with staff regarding that in terms of like shoreline project, but but two very simple things, or three simple things. Two of them are easier than others. There's some graffiti on the little like building shed thing that's there, and one of the newer picnic tables is covered in some kind of like blue paint or something. I was wondering if we could go ahead and get that cleaned. Um, and the other thing too, as I was kind of walking around and touring around, it was pointed out to me that somebody with mobility issues does use the park fairly regularly, and that the ramp from the street and there's like a little bit of a sidewalk, if you will, that leads to one of the picnic tables, and it's a sidewalk that's made from like our like recycled milled material from streets. So it's pretty lumpy, and the ramp itself is pretty steep. So I would really like to take a look at that.
Where
to
is
fix
that?
it's on Lakeside, like 11th-ish, 12th, South 12th-ish, right on the lagoon.
In the park, though?
Yeah, in the park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
look at that.
We had a question along the same lines. At the band shell, some of the it seems like some of the benches are gone, and I don't know if they were taken down for, they were broken or what. But it seems like maybe I'm just imagining this, but it seems like there's quite a few benches, um, that like in front of the band shell that could be replaced. I don't know.
We'll take a look.
Okay.
Jamie's hands up. He's probably has a response.
Oh, Jamie, Mr. Brown. You have to unmute yourself.
I was trying. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The issue with the some of the benches at Bryant Park, we removed some of those because they had the rebar sticking out of them, like they were just
Oh,
old,
that's
and we don't want people cutting themselves or hurting themselves sitting on damaged benches. So that's why those were removed for a safety reason.
any plans to replace them?
Yeah, I'm currently talking with Lauren Bennett on that to see because we need to keep everything kind of standard for all our parks. So we're looking into that at the moment. But the main
Okay.
thing was not getting anything that was damaged out of there, so we don't have a liability there. And I was
Okay.
taking notes on what Commissioner Diaz was just talking about as far as the ADA issue as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. And in terms of our legislative asks, we're asking for, I'm sort of jumping around because I have to leave at 9:30. We have three asks. We've asked for funds for the Emergency Operations Center, the
Um,
study for the golf course, and I can't remember the third one.
The third one was a water project. However, we've been advised that will be more appropriate going to the State Department for a loan fund, because that is a critical issue that the State Department has been working with the Water Department on, and so we've been referred
Okay.
to the State Department. So there were originally three, but now two.
Okay, well, actually, that makes it easier.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Somebody's coming in my back door, but that's okay. I know her. Okay, Ronaldo, were you done?
Now that you bring up the the legislative ask, first I'm super excited about the golf course, so thanks for making that happen. That's kind of like my biggest ask, I think.
Right.
And that's just gonna be, I think that's gonna be the start of a ball that's rolling. That's gonna be pretty tremendous for us.
Yeah.
But similarly, and for the monitoring well, the third legislative ask that we're not gonna do for now. I don't know if this fits in that category because it's kind of a gray area, but we for sure have other projects that would fit in this category, which is South Florida Water Management District just opened up a grant. It's like a water conservation project grant opportunity that they have, and it's a matching grant for shovel ready projects that are water conservation things. So it's somewhat vague. It's very general. For a lot of municipalities, it covers things like purple pipes to really just so many different projects. And I think, for sure we have some of that. But one of the requirements is that in order to apply for these grants, our water conservation ordinances or policy needs to reflect, be as good or better than basically the water management district policy, which last time I checked, I am pretty sure that we fit in that category. But I guess the ask here is if we can take a look at that. I don't know if Mr. Waters is on, but like if we can take a look at that to make sure that we meet those requirements, because I feel like that's a good grant opportunity that we didn't apply for last year, and we should definitely go for this year.
Great. And that's grants. That's not legislative stuff, right?
Exactly.
Well-
Yeah, it's a grant from South Florida Water Management District.
Okay, great. Now my clock is ticking. Mr. McVoy, you weren't here. I have to leave. I have a court Zoom hearing at 9:30, so I'm sort of rushing ahead for myself. Monday night we have the city manager's evaluation, and has everyone done their one-on-ones with her before that?
Yes, ma'am.
I have. Mr. McVoy,
I will have by that time, yes.
when okay, because I know Carmen's going out of town. I mean, to an event today. So
Right, no, it
Yeah,
won't
but-
be, it'll be on Monday. I've already arranged that.
okay. And Ronaldo?
Yeah, today before she heads out, we had set time aside.
Okay, all right, because we all have to do it if the meeting's going to go forward. Okay, I have a couple more minutes. So Ronaldo, that's it.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay,
Um,
and Sarah.
Madam
Yeah.
Mayor, in reference to the legislative ask, I'm really disappointed that we did not put in a request for any funding for the Gulfstream. Even at the $100,000, $200,000 mark, that is a huge progressive movement for the city, the county, the state, and big on tourism, big on job creation. And I think that it would have been a slam dunk. And Carmen and I did have conversations about it. Unfortunately, our lobbyist was not in favor, which I think we need to review, because this is a shovel-ready project and has had a lot of publicity. And I think that the legislators would have gotten behind it. So I'm really disappointed that we didn't even put in a small ask towards the Gulfstream.
Is it too late
Okay.
to do that? I don't know that it's too late.
Yes, Madam Mayor?
Yep.
And I do understand Commissioner Maliga's concern. One of the things that we were trying to do is piggyback off the golf course ask this year. And so as the hotel progress along, we'll be prepared to have a more comprehensive approach to the economic or development ask for the Gulfstream. And at the
Okay,
next,
because it's going to be a couple of years before it's.
of course,
might be
but the
next year.
project will be moving as far as, the progress of construction.
Okay.
That was
Mr.
the logic behind it, so
No,
I
I-
do
and I
understand what you're saying.
I understand that. I think that maybe in general, we need to look at and pre-plan. I know that Commissioner Diaz has said this before, but pre-plan for our ask months ahead of time
Right.
and not let people who don't live and function here dictate what our ask are. So I think that we as a commission need to have those conversations months before the ask and kind of have a consensus from staff what the projects are, obviously, and from the city manager. But I feel since we've been elected in the past 2.5 years, this year's a little bit better, but it's always been a last minute. So if we can
Mhm.
talk about projects as we're going forward, talk about capital improvement and say, okay, maybe we can earmark some of this money for next year's ask, right? Just better planning in the process instead of having somebody tell us what the temperature is, if you will, say up in Tallahassee. I think that we need to navigate that ship more, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get guidance from a lobbyist about what's the shade up there, but I think we should start earlier. Rather, and it's a tricky time thing because at the same time that's happening, we're also dealing with the budget. So we're just gonna have to get more creative. We're just gonna have to get faster. Okay, so I have 6 more minutes. Mr. McVoy, I see your hands up.
Yeah, just on two things. One on that topic. I think we've often talked about deferring to the expertise of staff in our discussions. I don't know, I don't have an independent way to evaluate our lobbyist, but I do know that he's been doing it a very long time. And I do recall that one of the things he said when he came to present to us was, if you're going to bring something to ask the legislature, you want it to be something that clearly has a long track record in your community, that you've done all the pieces of building support. It's something that's not, there's no question that everybody wants to do it or whatever. And that's, that resonated with me. That makes sense that, the legislature, they're looking at asks from all over the state. So they want to know that this is a done deal, a sure thing at the local level. And the Gulf Stream is a little tricky because it's a very big private development, and it's not obvious why public money should go on top of what has already been contributed to it. So I kind of defer to his judgment. If he said, "Hey, I don't think that's really going to fly," I suspect that's based on a lot of experience that we don't have. My other one is, it's nothing to do with the legislative ask, but it does relate to the Lake Worth Lagoon. And that is that I believe I have raised a number of times that there is a community ask for making the, I don't know what we call them, but the right of ways where we've done drainage improvements. I believe 18th North is one of them. I might be off on the number. There are a couple up there, and the community ask was, "Hey, it's great that you improved the drainage, but you declined the access, local boat access, to be able to take a kayak or a canoe or a paddleboard into the lagoon from the neighborhoods." And I've asked a number of times, "Hey, can we design a ramp and a walkway down and a way to open up the railing?" And everybody said, "Yes, that's a good idea," but I don't see any movement on it. So I'd like to bring that back up. It's something, I think we even talked about it during ARPA funds. Hey, set aside 100,000 or 50,000 or whatever. I don't think it's a very expensive project, but not doing it really limits neighborhood access to the water. And the water is part of our, one of our unusual assets here. So
You're talking the north end, right? Up at the north end?
I think it should apply generally, but I know that there's been a specific ask, and I'm forgetting at the moment which. But yes, north end, and I don't remember if it's 18th or a different one, but
I think it was 18.
Yeah, and was that tied into the ask for the golf course?
No, that one I think is 16th, and the issue.
No, I mean in general, the golf course in general, because it's all up by the. I'm just asking the waterway.
Sort of.
projects.
I can speak on that actually.
Okay, go ahead.
So to start with, the golf course ask is looking at it's listed as the main purpose is the economic driver. So it's looking at the course itself, and basically it's going to be a high level. Can we take like the living shoreline and water from the lagoon and incorporate it throughout the course design, so that one, it helps us resolve the elevation issues in the south end, the flooding, but also two, it makes for a really beautiful kind of link style course that would be competitive with some of the other nearby golf courses. It also looks at like the clubhouse and the restaurant, and how can that be
Right.
improved, because that's going to bring people from the surrounding area, spend money here, et cetera, et cetera. So the water side is really, we're starting with the golf course, as it was pointed out, and the water side is really, I feel, needs to be looked at as a systemic type of approach, because we have, or at least I have with staff, discussed that kind of looking at all of our lagoon side properties And some of them are just like literally a sidewalk that ends in a lagoon and has no utilities, no development potential, and somehow we still own them. So I suspect sometime in the near future, I know Mr. Waters has been working on putting kind of an inventory of these properties along the lagoon, that some of which we might need to, some of which we can probably abandon or sell. Others we're gonna really improve. And and I think it's key to look at all of that as it's kind of a big systemic approach, because some of those properties, are going to be better suited for the kayak launches, as Vice Mayor McVoy mentioned. Others are practically functionally useless, or they're too tight with infrastructure. Like one might get let's say a baffle box, for example, which once that happens, nobody should really be climbing on there. So it's going to be looking at everything that we have along the lagoon. I would assume also looking at the north end and just seeing where these opportunities best exist.
Good idea.
So Vice Mayor, I will get with Mr. Hetty and get the status on there and see where we are.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Now, up by the, a couple people I've spoken to about the kayak launches, which I think is a great idea, are concerned that there's really no place for people to park to want to leave their cars to launch.
That would be, this legislative ask is basically for PD&E. It's a planning, design, engineering. And I think I would hope that that's a big part of it. So we have at the south end of the golf course, right on basically at the base of the bridge, we have that little roundabout, I guess we could call it, or it's like a little turnaround spot with the kayak launch, which is currently in a state of disrepair, if you will. But I think that's such a solid point, because it's critical, because I can tell you as a paddler, that's such a great place to launch. But if you're by yourself, like I often am, it's a challenge, because my boat weighs nearly 80 pounds. So I have to drive, drop my kayak off at that turnaround, go drive around the block and park, and then come back and hope that half my gear is still there. So it's not set up in a way that's really conducive to people using it. And also, if we make, space available for like a vendor, like we already have Kayak Lake Worth at the golf course, but if they had, I've seen some really cool setups. There's a great one in MacArthur Beach State Park where it's literally like, kind of like a garage shed thing where they sell snacks and drinks, and you can rent paddle boards and things like that. And it has a small parking area. So I would expect and hope that that's part of the economic driver and part of the
Right.
study.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to duck out. I'm gonna kind of stay logged in. If this hearing goes really quickly, I'll come back. So I'm just gonna mute but if carry on without me, if I don't come back, I'll try to come back, but I've got a hearing going on right now. Thank you. See you tomorrow night, everybody.
Very good. Good luck with the hearing. I don't know if that officially leaves me in charge here, but I
I
guess.
believe so.
It does, Mr.
You're
Vice Mayor.
up.
Do we have any further comments either from Commissioner Diaz or from Commissioner Malega?
No, I'm good.
I do have, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna close out the thing that you brought up. I mean, I think it's really such a key point in this. It's why I wanted to like resurrect the Waterways Board, if you are, or convert it to the Waterways Board, because our lagoon and Snook Islands and Bryant Park are such a tremendous asset. There's really nothing like it in anywhere else in the Lake Worth Lagoon. On the north end, you of course have like MacArthur Beach State Park, which is really incredible with mangroves and whatnot. But that's a natural park. It's a state park. This is, ours is engineered, if you will, by the county, and it's something that's really special, and it's kind of like their hallmark project. So it really is that's why it's called a golf course study, but I feel like it's so much more than that, and it really is such an important thing to highlight as an asset because of uh, just the things that you can see and do, and the birding and the fishing and the paddling. I mean, it really is something special. And to be totally honest, I don't think we really take advantage of that full potential. So, thanks for bringing that up because a lot of these little properties that are along the lagoon that we have the right of ways and the easements and things, some of which are not conducive to launching paddlecraft. Some of them are outright dangerous, right? There's at least one that I believe is probably an attractive nuisance. But as we go through these properties and figure out what we're going to do with them, I think it absolutely is critical to maintain these little kind of like pocket parks or neighborhood parks that you can access the lagoon. When I was walking through Lakeside Park yesterday with those neighbors, they have really such a tremendous gem there. And we have some money coming in to improve the park, and I'm pretty excited to hear what they are going to ask for basically for that 150,000, because there's a lot of gems that we have that we really should be highlighting as a town.
I couldn't agree more. I've been struck, Karim and I have kayaked various occasions, sometimes at night, sometimes during the day. And at night, the advantage is that you can use a light and see crabs and fish and all sorts of things in the water that you might not as easily see in the day. And then I've explored around that one that we think is 18th, just got in the water, and it was like, dang, this is this is pretty cool. A lot of neat stuff there, but the access, I mean, I had to clamber over a railing and climb down some rocks, and I'll do that, but obviously that wouldn't work with an 80-pound kayak. Mine's 70 and same issue. So I think with relatively small investment, yes, it would be nice to make some arrangements for parking if we can, but many times it might be just one or two people who are, they might park in the neighborhood and bring their kayak over. It obviously, if we can do better on parking, that's great. But I think the comprehensive approach and really highlighting that this is something that's accessible to neighborhoods it's pretty cool.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I'm still there. Did I get cut off?
Oh, no, I wasn't sure if you finished. I did have an additional announcement once we
Oh,
get
yeah,
past
yeah.
you all's
After I don't know whether the meeting went away or what. I'm not quite sure, but I'm finished.
I think
Okay.
we were just silence and agreements with exactly what you said.
All right.
I didn't want to interrupt the flow, so I was because I'm changing lanes now. So
Put your blinker on.
all right. Well, I just wanted to announce with great pleasure that the Arbor Day Foundation approved our Tree City designation.
Okay, great.
Yes, so we just got that announcement
awesome.
yesterday. Yes, so I want to thank the team, Dave McGrew and Mr. Waters and others for their work in making that happen.
Well, there was a crew of diggers out and planters, and Dave McGrew gave us some nice instruction that we put to work at Highland on prepping the root balls and height of the root ball and various things. So, and that we got that when we planted in front of the annex.
That's right. That's right. So we're excited about that. And so I'm sure you'll hear more about trees later in the future. And so we should have recognition materials in the next few weeks. So we can do an official announcement at our commission meeting.
That might be another one. Yes, the announcement's a great idea. It might be another one that would be helpful to find a place to put on the website such that the community knows that, that's something that some people were adamant that, we need to do this, and we've done it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to do that and a press release.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like the website idea, not particularly because their website's one way or the other, but a press release comes and goes and then you can't find them later, whereas the website presumably is still there and people can refer to it and so on.
Definitely.
Vice Mayor, my hand is up. I don't know if anybody can see it or not.
I
About to say that.
just see a hands up. So yes, go ahead, please, Commissioner
Thank
Malega.
you. I was just alerted that the manatees at Bryant Park, the baby has been knocked over again, and the mom is missing her fin. So,
Right.
you know, the destruction of the people who are hanging out at Bryant Park, it's just, we've got to get PBSO patrolling more and starting to write citations. This is just becoming ridiculous.
I assume you're not referring to a real manatee, you're referring to the collection things?
The art project, yes.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, this is the second time that the baby's been damaged in the last 30 days. And I just really think that I mean, this is where we have to start having the conversation about getting a park ranger to patrol all of our parks. Because this is just, it's disrespectful. I'll start there. And it's unnecessary. So I don't know if staff can try to send somebody over there. This was put together by an artist, so it's not like staff can just fix it. And it's really just, it's disheartening that, you know, you try to do nice things in the city and people are just destructive. Between this, the garbage cans the other day, you know, we've got to start setting a precedent that, you know, you can't come into our city and just destroy it. And if that precedent has to be us being, you know, having one person patrol our parks and walk the streets at night and patrol our area, you know, after hours, and that's what we have to do. You know, the residents in this city, they want to live in a nice area. And the city spends money on nice garbage cans, nice artwork, you know, a messaging piece of artwork at Bryant Park for everyone to enjoy. And there's just complete disrespect. And I'm quite fed up with it. And I know a lot of locals are. So if we could just send staff over to assess the damage, that would be great.
We definitely will. And if I can comment, I met with Captain Bear yesterday to talk about, you know, we have our regular meetings and talk about the issues around the city. And that was one of them. One of the things that we talk about, because I've heard several times about the need of possibly patrolling our parks a little more or having a little more attention on the activities in our park. So I was getting a quote from Captain Bear concerning park rangers or those who may be able to, you know, do a watch out for our parks just to make sure that the park rules are being followed. So I can look deeper into that if the commission wish for me to do so.
If I could comment on that, I fairly regularly do an hour and a half to 2 hour yoga class in Bryant Park. And one of the things I've noticed over quite a while of doing that is there's a lot of usage of the park. I see, you know, a variety of ages, strollers, kids, retired folks, right? And I also see PBSO coming through as well as some of our city staff. And I might see them a couple times during the course of that time there. I think I'm not opposed to looking at more, but I think we should be aware that PBSO does have a presence, and it's not possible for them to be in all parts of the park and all parks at all hours of the day at all times. It's not physically possible.
Right. That's why I recommended a park ranger, Vice Mayor, because that person would only specify the parks. You know, one of the veterans parking signs were knocked over at Howard Park the other day. I mean, it's a consistent thing. You know, that's why I recommended a park ranger, someone to just patrol parks, not taking PBSO off streets.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I think we ought to look at the cost, look at the incremental likely prevention. You know, some stuff, if somebody wants to do something, they'll wait till the park ranger or PBSO isn't there, and you know, and do something. It's not possible to 100% prevent anything. It reduces likelihood, and the question is, You know, is it a significant reduction, and how does it compare to the cost and other things we need to do? And I don't know the answers to that, but I think it's a good idea to look into it.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, my thing is stuck on safe driving mode, so I can't raise my hand. But thanks for bringing that up because this is something that was brought up also for South Lakeside Park, um, and I wish I had a detailed answer. So I think we should definitely look into that. I think that's very reasonable, because but Bryant Park especially is very well loved, if you will. It's very well used for sure, especially on nice weekends. And I feel like comments from the community, at least that I've encountered, a good majority of them, especially from people who live like across the street and whatnot, they say, "Oh, it's phenomenal. There's always families here. People really love, using the park, so on and so forth." But that's when they're awake. And I'm sure a lot of these issues like the manatee and the defacing of property, a lot of that happens probably overnight as it does in South Lakeside. And I think maybe, and as we look into that, maybe before then too, a low hanging fruit is to have Captain Bear present, because a while ago, I know I had a conversation with him where he kind of explained the limitations. Even though we have an ordinance that technically closes the park at sunset, that there are some case law limitations on how they carry out that enforcement, and that's why they've it's been unfortunate that they haven't been too effective overnight because of that case law. So maybe a good ask is to have him kind of explain that out, and so that we can start with something to see how we can either work around or address that problem.
That makes a lot of sense to me, to have his expertise. I didn't know that about the case law, but that's pretty relevant. And he may have some at least qualitative impression. Does most problematic stuff happen at night? And are there restrictions on what they can enforce, which would presumably be the same restrictions that would apply to a ranger? Getting us informed, I think would be a great idea. So I'd welcome a presentation of that sort from Captain Bear.
Right. From what I remember, it was basically, the definition of a public park gets grayed and changed the more you kind of limit access to it. And so I think maybe his deputies, or they've, been under the understanding of being a little bit hesitant on how they trespass people inside public parks because of, that might result in even worse case law. So, I think I would definitely love to hear the details on that, because I just couldn't quite remember all of the details.
Good idea. Yeah.
We can schedule a discussion on that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, because I think, we should try to make our decisions in general, but on this too, as much as possible on full and complete information. So, if we didn't know that there are case law limitations that affect what they can do, that would affect our decision making on hiring more. If they in fact can't do what we want them to do, then that might not make sense. So yeah, let's schedule a informative presentation on that from Captain Bear.
Right. And I want to say, keep in mind when we talk, when we talk about some observance in the park rangers are different from PBSO or the deputies. So they will have different powers and responsibilities. So their obligations to certain things may be a little different, although certainly laws are laws, and either parties will have to abide by them, but the duties and responsibilities would be different. So we can talk about that during that discussion.
Yeah, good point. Does anybody else have any issues that they'd like to bring up or ask, or perhaps from staff? I don't know.
None at this moment. Jamie, did you have any updates that you might want to share, or Mr. Perry? think we're all in parade mode for tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Carmen, I do not, other than we're obviously all out getting prepped for the big night tomorrow.
That's
So,
right. We're busy.
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Well, I guess I would say if we don't have any more, then I don't know that we'll get the mayor back. It sounds like she's probably tied up with the Zoom meeting,
Yes.
with her trial situation.
Motion to dismiss?
All
Good night,
right.
everyone. Thank you.
Oh, okay, just trying to
All
help.
right.
I appreciate
right.
it.
Well, thank you all for being, thank you for, sharing things that help the city, and on to the next. See you tomorrow.
Have a
Good
good week.
weekend, everyone.